Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Relaxing English Listening. I'm so happy you're here today. Maybe you've been learning English for months, maybe even years. You know a lot of words. You understand quite a bit when you listen. You can read articles. You can watch videos. But when it's time to speak, something feels different. The words don't come out naturally. You hesitate. You translate in your head. You know what you want to say. But somehow, the sentence doesn't sound right. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not doing anything wrong. Today, we're going to practice English in a way that feels natural, practical, and useful. You don't need to speak fast. You don't need to sound perfect. You don't need a huge vocabulary. You only need to build one small habit at a time. By the end of today's lesson, you'll know how to respond more naturally in everyday conversations. And you'll begin moving from simply knowing English to actually using English. Take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Grab a coffee if you'd like. And let's begin together. Imagine you are walking into your favorite coffee shop early in the morning. The air smells like fresh coffee. The sound of quiet conversations fills the room. A few people are working on laptops. Someone is reading a book near the window. The barista smiles as you walk in. You step up to the counter. Now let's think about what many English learners would say. The barista says, "Good morning." And you reply, "Good morning." That's correct. It's completely fine. But native speakers often add just a little more. Let's make it more natural. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Listen again. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Now repeat after me, slowly. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Excellent. Now say it again, a little more naturally. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Notice the rhythm. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Native speakers connect the words smoothly. They don't usually pronounce every word separately. Let's make it even more advanced. Good morning. How's your day going so far? Looks like it's going to be a busy one. Listen again. Looks like it's going to be a busy one. This is something native speakers say all the time. Instead of saying, "It will be a busy day," they often say, "Looks like it's going to be a busy one." Now repeat. Looks like it's going to be a busy one. Very nice. Now imagine the barista smiles and asks, "Got anything interesting planned today?" This is a common question. Many learners answer like this. Yes. I work today. Correct. But very basic. Let's upgrade it. Natural version. Yeah. I've got a pretty full schedule today. Repeat. Yeah. I've got a pretty full schedule today. One more time. Yeah. I've got a pretty full schedule today. Now let's make it even richer. Yeah. I've got a pretty full schedule today. But I'm looking forward to it. Repeat slowly. I'm looking forward to it. Again. I'm looking forward to it. Native speakers use this phrase constantly. Not. I am excited. Not. I am happy. But. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds relaxed, natural, friendly. Now let's continue the conversation. The barista hands you your coffee. You take a sip. It's exactly what you needed. Have you ever noticed that native speakers rarely say, "I needed coffee"? Instead, they often say, "I could use some coffee." Listen. I could use some coffee. Repeat. I could use some coffee. Again. I could use some coffee. Now imagine it's Monday morning. You didn't sleep very well. You're still waking up. You smile and say, honestly, I could really use some coffee today. Repeat. Honestly, I could really use some coffee today. Great job. Notice how this sounds much more natural than simply saying, I am tired. Let's compare. Basic. I'm tired. Natural. I'm a little tired today. Advanced. I'm a bit drained. But this coffee is helping. Listen again. I'm a bit drained. But this coffee is helping. Repeat slowly. I'm a bit drained. But this coffee is helping. Excellent. This next phrase is extremely common. Most learners never use it. Native speakers use it constantly. Ready. I needed this. Listen again. I needed this. Imagine taking your first sip of coffee after a stressful morning. I needed this. Repeat. I needed this. Again. I needed this. Short. Simple. Very natural. Now let's create a tiny conversation. Listen carefully. Barista. Rough morning. Customer. Yeah. Kind of. Barista. Coffee should help. Customer. I hope so. I really needed this. Let's hear it again. Barista. Rough morning. Customer. Yeah. Kind of. Barista. Coffee should help. Customer. I hope so. I really needed this. Notice something important. The customer doesn't explain everything. Native speakers often use short responses. They leave things unsaid. This makes conversations feel relaxed and real. Let's practice. Repeat after me. Yeah. Kind of. Again. Yeah. Kind of. Now with emotion. Yeah. Kind of. Very good. Imagine you're sitting by the window now. You take another sip of coffee. You look outside. People are hurrying to work. Cars are moving through the city. The day is beginning. And suddenly, you notice someone familiar. It's an old friend. Someone you haven't seen in years. Your friend walks over and says, wait. Is that really you? You smile. What do many learners say? Yes. It is me. Correct. But not very natural. Native speakers often say something like, yeah. It's been a while. Repeat. Yeah. It's been a while. Again. It's been a while. This phrase is incredibly useful. Native speakers use it whenever they meet someone after a long time. Let's continue. Your friend sits down. They smile and say, wow. It's been forever. And you respond, I know. It's so good to see you. Repeat. It's so good to see you. Again. It's so good to see you. Now let's make it more advanced. It's so good to see you. How have you been? Repeat. How have you been? Again. How have you been? Notice how this immediately keeps the conversation moving. Many learners accidentally stop conversations. Native speakers keep them flowing. That's one of the biggest differences between intermediate and advanced speakers. The goal isn't bigger vocabulary. The goal is smoother communication. Let's continue. Your friend says, I've been pretty busy lately. How would you respond? Basic. That's good. Natural. Sounds like you've had a lot going on. Repeat. Sounds like you've had a lot going on. Again. Sounds like you've had a lot going on. Excellent. This is exactly the kind of phrase you'll hear every day. Now listen to this short conversation. Friend, I've been pretty busy lately. You. Sounds like you've had a lot going on. Friend? Yeah. Work's been crazy. You. I can imagine. Friend. How about you? You. Things have been busy. But overall pretty good. Repeat after me. Things have been busy. But overall pretty good. Again. Things have been busy. But overall pretty good. Very natural. Very conversational. And something important is happening right now. You may not even notice it. A few minutes ago, you were thinking about English. Now, you're thinking about a conversation. That's the shift we want. Not studying English. Using English. Every sentence you repeat is helping your brain build that connection. Every natural phrase is becoming easier to access. Every small improvement matters. And we're only getting started. The conversation is becoming more interesting. Your friend leans forward and says, Actually, something unexpected happened this week. You become curious. You want to hear more. And in the next part, we're going to use that real-life situation to learn how native speakers react naturally. Ask follow-up questions. Express surprise. And keep conversations flowing without awkward silence. So keep listening. Stay relaxed. And let's take this one step deeper. Your friend leans forward slightly and takes another sip of coffee. The morning rush continues around you. A few people are lining up at the counter. Someone laughs near the entrance. A phone rings briefly, somewhere in the background. But now, your attention is on the conversation. Your friend smiles and says, Actually, something unexpected happened this week. Immediately. Most English learners know what the sentence means. But many don't know how to respond naturally. Very often, learners say something simple, like, What happened? And yes, that's correct. But native speakers often react with a little more emotion, a little more curiosity, a little more personality. Listen. No way. What happened? Repeat after me slowly. No way. What happened? Again. No way. What happened? Excellent. No way is one of the most common reactions you'll hear in everyday English. Native speakers use it constantly. Not because they literally mean it's impossible, but because they're showing surprise and interest. Let's compare. Basic. What happened? Natural. Really? What happened? Advanced. No way. What happened? Can you feel the difference? The third version sounds much more alive. Now repeat it again. No way. What happened? Great. Your friend laughs. I know. I couldn't believe it either. Let's pause there. This next phrase is extremely common. I couldn't believe it. Repeat. I couldn't believe it. Again. I couldn't believe it. Native speakers say this all the time when something surprising happens. Now listen to the conversation. Friend. Something unexpected happened this week. You. No way. What happened? Friend. I got a call from a company I interviewed with months ago. You? Seriously? Friend. Yeah. They offered me the job. You. That's amazing. Now, let's focus on that reaction. That's amazing. Simple. Useful. Natural. Repeat. That's amazing. Again. That's amazing. But let's make it even more natural. That's amazing. Congratulations. Repeat. Congratulations. Again. Congratulations. Now let's upgrade it. That's amazing. Congratulations. You must be excited. Listen carefully. You must be excited. Repeat. You must be excited. One more time. You must be excited. Notice something important. You are not asking. You're making a guess. Native speakers do this constantly. You must be excited. You must be tired. You must be relieved. You must be proud. These expressions make conversations flow naturally. Let's practice. Repeat after me. You must be excited. You must be relieved. You must be proud. Excellent. Now imagine your friend smiles and says, honestly, it still doesn't feel real. This is another phrase native speakers use all the time. Repeat. It still doesn't feel real. Again. It still doesn't feel real. Now let's create a slightly longer conversation. Friend. They offered me the job that you. That's amazing. You must be excited. Friend. Honestly. It still doesn't feel real. You. I can imagine. Friend. I've been waiting for months. You. Well. It sounds like all your hard work paid off. Listen again. It sounds like all your hard work paid off. Repeat slowly. All your hard work paid off. Again. All your hard work paid off. This phrase is very useful. When effort creates success, native speakers often say, it paid off. Let's practice. My studying paid off. My practice paid off. My hard work paid off. Very good. And here's something interesting. Many learners focus too much on individual vocabulary words. But native speakers often communicate using chunks, entire phrases, entire patterns. For example, good for you. That's amazing. You must be excited. It paid off. Notice how useful these phrases are. You can use them immediately. Now imagine the conversation continues. Your friend takes a deep breath, then says, to be honest, I almost gave up. Let's stop here. This sentence contains a phrase that native speakers use every day. To be honest. Repeat. To be honest. Again. To be honest. It's one of the easiest ways to sound natural. Let's practice. To be honest. I was nervous. To be honest. I wasn't sure. To be honest. I didn't expect that. Excellent. Now listen to this conversation. Friend. To be honest. I almost gave up. You. Really? Friend. Yeah. I thought they forgot about me. You. I can see why you'd think that. Listen carefully. I can see why you'd think that. Repeat. I can see why you'd think that. Again. I can see why you'd think that. This is a very natural response. Instead of simply saying, yes, or I understand, you acknowledge the person's feelings. Let's practice. I can see why you'd think that. I can see why you'd feel that way. I can see why you'd be worried. Excellent. Notice how these responses make conversations warmer, more human, more natural. Now let's take this one step deeper. Imagine your friend asks you a question. What about you? How's work been lately? Many learners answer like this. It's good. Correct. But very short. Let's build it. Natural version. It's been pretty good lately. Repeat. It's been pretty good lately. Again. It's been pretty good lately. Now, let's make it more advanced. It's been pretty good lately. I've been busy, but in a good way. Listen. I've been busy, but in a good way. Repeat. I've been busy, but in a good way. Again. I've been busy, but in a good way. Native speakers use this pattern often. Tired, but in a good way. Busy, but in a good way. Exhausted, but in a good way. Let's practice. Busy, but in a good way. Tired, but in a good way. Stressful, but in a good way. Great. Now, imagine your friend asks, "So, what's keeping you busy?" This is where many learners freeze. Not because they don't know English, but because they don't know how to continue naturally. Let's practice together. Basic. I've been working. Natural. I've been working on a few projects. Advanced. I've been working on a few projects recently, and they've been keeping me pretty busy. Repeat. They've been keeping me pretty busy. Again. They've been keeping me pretty busy. Excellent. Now, let's create another realistic conversation. Friend. So, what's keeping you busy? You. I've been working on a few projects recently. Friend. Sounds interesting. You. Yeah. It's been challenging, but I've learned a lot. Friend. That's always a good thing. You. Definitely. Let's focus on that word. Definitely. Native speakers love this word. Repeat. Definitely. Again. Definitely. It's much more natural than constantly saying, yes. Let's practice. Definitely. Absolutely. For sure. Sounds good. These are common conversational responses. Now say them after me. Definitely. Absolutely. For sure. Sounds good. Very nice. At this point, you're not just learning vocabulary. You're learning rhythm. You're learning how real conversations move. Sometimes they're fast. Sometimes they're relaxed. Sometimes people don't finish every thought perfectly. That's normal. Real English isn't perfect. Real English is human. Now imagine the coffee shop is becoming busier. More people are arriving. The sound of cups and conversation fills the room. Your friend glances at the clock. Then suddenly says, "Oh wow. I didn't realize how late it was." Let's stop here. This phrase is incredibly common. I didn't realize. Repeat. I didn't realize. Again. I didn't realize. Examples. I didn't realize it was so late. I didn't realize you were here. I didn't realize it was Friday already. Excellent. Now let's practice another very common phrase. Time flies. Listen. Time flies. Repeat. Time flies. Again. Time flies. Native speakers say this constantly when time passes quickly. Now put them together. Wow! I didn't realize how late it was. Time flies. Repeat. Time flies. Great. Your friend starts gathering their things. The conversation is almost over. But before leaving, they smile and say, "We should do this again sometime." This is a phrase you will hear everywhere. Repeat. We should do this again sometime. Again. We should do this again sometime. Now let's respond naturally. Definitely. I'd like that. Repeat. I'd like that. Again. I'd like that. Very natural. Very friendly. Now listen to the entire ending conversation. Friend. We should do this again sometime. You. Definitely. I'd like that. Friend. Maybe next week. You. Yeah. That sounds good. Friend. Perfect. You. Looking forward to it. Repeat. Looking forward to it. Again. Looking forward to it. Excellent. And before we leave this coffee shop, let's do a quick speaking challenge. Think about someone you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe a friend. Maybe a family member. Maybe an old coworker. Now answer this question in your mind. What would you say if you met them tomorrow? Try using one phrase from today's lesson. Maybe. It's been a while. Maybe. It's so good to see you. Maybe. Looking forward to catching up. Take a moment. Say it quietly. Say it naturally. Imagine the person is right in front of you. That's how fluency begins. Not by memorizing thousands of words, but by connecting English to real moments in your life. And something interesting is about to happen. As you leave the coffee shop, the relaxed atmosphere disappears. The streets outside are much busier now. People are rushing. Cars are moving. Phones are ringing. Meetings are starting. Deadlines are waiting. And, in the next part, you'll learn how native speakers communicate when they're running late. Dealing with pressure. Apologizing naturally. And handling stressful situations without sounding like a textbook. Because everyday English isn't only about comfortable conversations. Sometimes it's about staying calm when everything feels rushed. And that's exactly where we're heading next. The moment you step outside the coffee shop, the energy changes. The calm atmosphere disappears. The city feels faster now. People are crossing the street with coffee cups in their hands. Cars are lined up at traffic lights. Buses are pulling into crowded stops. Someone rushes past you while checking their phone. You glance at your watch. And suddenly, your stomach drops. You're late. Not terribly late, but late enough to feel stressed. Now let's talk about something that happens to almost everyone. Running late. This is one of the most common real-life situations you'll ever experience. And it's also one of the situations where many English learners sound too formal. Imagine your coworker sends you a message. Where are you? Many learners reply like this. I am late. That's correct. But native speakers usually say something different. Listen. I'm running late. Repeat after me slowly. I'm running late. Again. I'm running late. One more time. I'm running late. This is one of the most useful phrases in English. Native speakers use it every day. Not. I am late. But. I'm running late. Now let's make it more natural. I'm running a little late. Repeat. I'm running a little late. Again. I'm running a little late. Excellent. Notice how adding a little makes the sentence softer. Less dramatic. More conversational. Now, let's upgrade it. I'm running a little late. But I should be there soon. Repeat slowly. I should be there soon. Again. I should be there soon. This is exactly how native speakers often reassure people. Imagine you're sending a quick message. Hey. I'm running a little late. But I should be there soon. Listen again. Hey. I'm running a little late. But I should be there soon. Now, repeat naturally. Excellent. The next phrase is something you'll hear constantly. Stuck in traffic. Listen. I'm stuck in traffic. Repeat. I'm stuck in traffic. Again. I'm stuck in traffic. Imagine you're sitting in a car. Nothing is moving. The light turns green. Nobody moves. You sigh. And you send a message. Sorry. I'm stuck in traffic. Repeat. Sorry. I'm stuck in traffic. Again. Sorry. I'm stuck in traffic. Very natural. Very useful. Now let's compare. 3 levels. Basic. I'm late. Natural. I'm running late. Advanced. I'm running behind schedule because traffic was worse than expected. Listen carefully. Running behind schedule. Repeat. Running behind schedule. Again. Running behind schedule. This phrase sounds very professional. Native speakers use it frequently at work. For example, we're running behind schedule. The project is running behind schedule. I'm running behind schedule this morning. Excellent. Now imagine your phone rings. It's your manager. You answer. Hey. Where are you? What do many learners say? I am coming. Correct. But there are more natural options. Listen. I'm on my way. Repeat. I'm on my way. Again. I'm on my way. This phrase is everywhere in English. If you remember only one phrase from this section, remember this one. I'm on my way. Now, let's make it longer. Sorry about that. I'm on my way now. Repeat. Sorry about that. I'm on my way now. Again. Sorry about that. I'm on my way now. Excellent. Let's create a quick conversation. Manager. Hey. Where are you? You. Sorry about that. I'm running a little late. Manager. Everything okay? You. Yeah. I'm stuck in traffic. But I'm on my way. Manager. No worries. You. Thanks. I should be there soon. Listen to how natural that sounds. Nothing complicated. Just practical English. The kind people actually use. Now let's focus on another extremely common phrase. No worries. Native speakers say this constantly. Instead of, that's okay. Instead of, it is fine. They often say, no worries. Repeat. No worries. Again. No worries. Now with natural rhythm. No worries. Great. Imagine you finally arrive at the office. You walk through the doors. You take a deep breath. You made it. Your coworker looks at you and smiles. Rough morning. This phrase should sound familiar. It's very common. Repeat. Rough morning. Again. Rough morning. Now, let's answer naturally. Yeah. Kind of. Repeat. Yeah. Kind of. Again. Yeah. Kind of. Notice something. Native speakers often avoid long explanations at first. They start small. Then add details later. Let's continue. Coworker. Rough morning. You. Yeah. Kind of. Coworker. What happened? You. Traffic was terrible. Coworker. Yeah. It's been bad lately. You. Tell me about it. Now stop there. This next phrase is incredibly common. Tell me about it. Repeat. Tell me about it. Again. Tell me about it. Native speakers use this when they strongly agree with a complaint. For example, traffic is awful. Tell me about it. Work has been stressful. Tell me about it. It's so hot today. Tell me about it. Excellent. Now let's move into a new situation. You finally sit down at your desk. You open your laptop. Your inbox is full. There are messages everywhere. A meeting starts in 15 minutes. And suddenly, you feel overwhelmed. Many learners say, I have a lot of work. Correct. But let's make it sound more natural. I've got a lot on my plate. Listen carefully. I've got a lot on my plate. Repeat. I've got a lot on my plate. Again. I've got a lot on my plate. This is a very common native expression. It doesn't literally mean food. It means you have many responsibilities, many tasks, many things to handle. Now, repeat. I've got a lot on my plate today. Again. I've got a lot on my plate today. Excellent. Imagine, a coworker asks, how's your day looking? What a great question. Native speakers ask this often. How's your day looking? Repeat. How's your day looking? Again. How's your day looking? Now answer. I've got a lot on my plate today. Repeat. I've got a lot on my plate today. Very good. Now let's upgrade it. I've got a lot on my plate today. But I'm trying to stay organized. Listen. Trying to stay organized. Repeat. Trying to stay organized. Again. Trying to stay organized. Excellent. Notice the pattern. Many advanced speakers don't stop at the problem. They continue. Problem. Then response. Problem. Then solution. For example, I've got a lot on my plate today. But I'm trying to stay organized. I'm tired. But I'm staying focused. I'm stressed. But I'm managing. This makes your English sound more mature. More confident. Now let's do a short shadowing exercise. Repeat exactly as you hear. I've got a lot on my plate today. I've got a lot on my plate today. But I'm staying focused. I've got a lot on my plate today. But I'm staying focused and taking things one step at a time. Excellent. Let's focus on that final phrase. One step at a time. Repeat. One step at a time. Again. One step at a time. This phrase is useful not only for work, but for life, for English, for learning, for difficult days. One step at a time. Imagine a coworker notices you're stressed. They say, you look busy. How do you respond? Basic. Yes. I am busy. Natural. Yeah. It's been a busy morning. Advanced. Yeah. It's been a busy morning. But I'm getting through it. Repeat. I'm getting through it. Again. I'm getting through it. This phrase means, you're managing. You're surviving. You're continuing. Even when things are difficult. Native speakers use it all the time. How's everything going? I'm getting through it. How was your week? Busy. But I'm getting through it. Great. Now, let's make this emotional. Because real conversations aren't only about information. They're about feelings. Imagine you're having a difficult day. You feel pressure. Deadlines. Meetings. Messages. Responsibilities. But then something small happens. A coworker brings you coffee. Someone helps you with a task. A project finally starts moving forward. And your mood changes. You smile and say, that helps. Repeat. That helps. Again. That helps. Simple. Natural. Human. Then maybe you say, I needed that. Repeat. I needed that. Again. I needed that. Notice how often native speakers use simple emotional phrases. Not dramatic. Not complicated. Just real. That helps. I needed that. I appreciate it. Thanks. I needed that. These are phrases people actually use. Now, let's do a short real-life conversation. Coworker. You look stressed. You. Yeah. I've got a lot on my plate today. Coworker. Want some coffee? You. Honestly, that would help. Coworker. I'll grab you one. You. Thanks. I needed that. Listen to how natural that sounds. That's real English. The kind you'll hear in offices, cafes, stores, airports, and everyday life. And here's something important. Every phrase you're repeating right now is doing more than teaching vocabulary. It's teaching automatic reactions. You're building reflexes. You're teaching your brain to respond naturally. Not translate. Not analyze. Just communicate. One phrase at a time. One conversation at a time. One step at a time. The morning continues. Your meetings are finished. The pressure begins to fade. You finally lean back in your chair. And, for the first time all day, you can breathe. But something interesting is about to happen. A message appears on your phone. It's from a coworker you don't know very well. They're inviting you to join a group lunch. Now the challenge changes completely. The stress of being late is gone. The next challenge is something many English learners find even harder. Starting and maintaining casual conversation with people they don't know well. And that's exactly where we're going next. The morning rush has finally settled down. Your inbox is under control. The meetings that seemed so urgent a few hours ago are now behind you. You stretch your shoulders and glance at the clock. It's almost lunchtime. A message appears on your phone. Hey! A few of us are grabbing lunch. Want to join? You pause for a second. This is a situation many English learners know well. Talking to close friends can feel comfortable. Talking to strangers can feel difficult. But talking to coworkers you don't know very well, that's often where conversations become awkward. Today, we're going to make those conversations feel natural, easy, comfortable, and useful in real life. Let's start with a very common response. Imagine, a coworker asks, "Want to join us for lunch?" Many learners answer, "Yes." Correct. But short. Native speakers usually add a little warmth. Listen. Yeah. Sure. Repeat after me. Yeah. Sure. Again. Yeah. It's sure. Very natural. Now let's make it slightly more conversational. Yeah. Sure. I'd love to. Repeat. I'd love to. Again. I'd love to. Excellent. This phrase is useful. Everywhere. Want to grab coffee? I'd love to. Want to come along? I'd love to. Want to join us? I'd love to. Simple. Friendly. Natural. Now imagine you arrive at the restaurant. The atmosphere feels different from the office. People are laughing. The pressure is lower. The conversations are more personal. A coworker smiles and asks, "So, how long have you been working here?" This is a question you'll hear often. Let's practice a natural response. Basic. I've worked here for 2 years. Natural. I've been here for about 2 years. Repeat. I've been here for about 2 years. Again. I've been here for about 2 years. Very good. Now let's make it more advanced. I've been here for about 2 years. And honestly, it's gone by really fast. Listen carefully. It's gone by really fast. Repeat. It's gone by really fast. Again. It's gone by really fast. Native speakers use this phrase constantly when talking about time. The year went by fast. The weekend went by fast. The month went by fast. Let's practice. It went by fast. It's gone by really fast. Excellent. Now the conversation continues. A coworker says, "Do you enjoy working here?" This is a perfect opportunity to sound natural. Many learners say, "Yes, I enjoy it." That's fine. But let's build it. Natural version. Yeah, I like it. Repeat. Yeah, I like it. Again. Yeah, I like it. Now let's upgrade it. Yeah, I like it. The people are great. Repeat. The people are great. Again. The people are great. Now let's make it even richer. Yeah, I like it. The people are great. And I've learned a lot since I started. Listen. I've learned a lot since I started. Repeat. I've learned a lot since I started. Again. I've learned a lot since I started. Notice how adding one extra thought instantly makes you sound more fluent, more engaged, more natural. Now let's listen to a short conversation. Coworker. Do you enjoy working here? You. Yeah. I like it. Coworker. What do you like most? You. Honestly. The people are great. Coworker. That's important. You. Definitely. I've learned a lot from them. Listen again. I've learned a lot from them. Repeat. I've learned a lot from them. Excellent. This next phrase is something native speakers use all the time. Honestly. You've heard it before. But let's practice it again. Honestly. Repeat. Honestly. Again. Honestly. It makes your speech sound relaxed and conversational. For example, honestly, I wasn't sure. Honestly, I was nervous. Honestly, I didn't expect that. Honestly, I really enjoy it. Very natural. Now imagine lunch has arrived. Everyone starts eating. The conversation shifts away from work. Someone asks, "So, what do you usually do on weekends?" This question appears everywhere. And it's a wonderful opportunity to practice natural English. Many learners answer like this. I watch movies. Correct. But let's make it sound more conversational. I usually watch movies and relax. Repeat. I usually watch movies and relax. Again. I usually watch movies and relax. Now let's upgrade it. I usually watch movies. Catch up on things. And try to recharge for the week ahead. Listen carefully. Try to recharge. Repeat. Try to recharge. Again. Try to recharge. Native speakers often use the word recharge when talking about rest. After a busy week. I need to recharge. I'm taking the weekend to recharge. I need some time to recharge. Excellent. Now let's practice another common phrase. Catch up on things. Repeat. Catch up on things. Again. Catch up on things. This phrase is incredibly useful. You can catch up on work. Catch up on sleep. Catch up on emails. Catch up on chores. Listen. I spent the weekend catching up on sleep. Repeat. Catching up on sleep. Very good. Now imagine another coworker joins the conversation. They smile and ask, "Have you seen any good movies lately?" Notice something. Native speakers don't always ask, "What's your favorite movie?" Instead, they often ask about recent experiences. Have you seen any good movies lately? Let's practice a natural answer. Yeah. Actually. I watched one last weekend. Repeat. Actually. I watched one last weekend. Again. Actually. I watched one last weekend. Excellent. The word actually is extremely common. Native speakers use it constantly. Actually. I agree. Actually. I haven't. Actually. That's a good point. Actually. I was thinking the same thing. Now let's continue. Coworker. Was it good? You? Yeah. It was surprisingly good. Repeat. Surprisingly good. Again. Surprisingly good. This is much more natural than simply saying, very good. Let's build some alternatives. Really good. Pretty good. Surprisingly good. Better than I expected. Repeat them after me. Really good. Pretty good. Surprisingly good. Better than I expected. Excellent. Now let's listen to a slightly faster conversation. Coworker. Was it good? You. Yeah. Actually. It was surprisingly good. Coworker. What's it about? You. It's about a guy who starts over after losing everything. Coworker. Sounds interesting. You. Yeah. It was better than I expected. Notice how casual and relaxed the conversation feels. No complicated grammar. No difficult vocabulary. Just natural communication. Now let's shift the energy slightly. A coworker suddenly asks, so, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go? This is one of those questions people love asking at lunch. Let's practice. Basic. I would go to Japan. Natural. I'd love to visit Japan. Repeat. I'd love to visit Japan. Again. I'd love to visit Japan. Now let's make it richer. I'd love to visit Japan someday. I've always been fascinated by the culture. Listen. I've always been fascinated by. Repeat. I've always been fascinated by. Again. I've always been fascinated by. Excellent. This phrase sounds advanced, but feels natural. I've always been fascinated by history. I've always been fascinated by technology. I've always been fascinated by different cultures. Great. Now let's do a short speaking activation exercise. Imagine someone asks you, if you could travel anywhere tomorrow, where would you go? Take a moment. Answer in your mind. Try using I'd love to. I've always wanted to. I've always been fascinated by. Say your answer quietly. Make it personal. Make it yours. Excellent. This is where real progress happens. When English stops being examples and starts becoming your thoughts, your experiences, your stories. Now the conversation becomes more comfortable. People are laughing more. The group feels relaxed. Someone accidentally drops a fork. Everyone laughs. The atmosphere feels easy. One coworker says, I'm glad I came today. Let's practice that. I'm glad I came. Repeat. I'm glad I came. Again. I'm glad I came. Now, let's make it more emotional. I'm glad I came. I needed a break. Repeat. I needed a break. Again. I needed a break. Many native speakers say this. After a stressful morning. After a difficult week. After a long project. I needed a break. Very natural. Very human. Let's listen to one final lunch conversation. Coworker. I'm glad we did this. You. Yeah. Me too. Coworker. We should do it more often. You. Definitely. It's nice getting away from the desk for a while. Repeat. Getting away from the desk. Again. Getting away from the desk. Excellent. And perhaps without realizing it, you've just practiced something important. Not business English, not classroom English, but relationship English, the language people use to build trust, build friendships, build connections. Those small conversations matter. In fact, many opportunities in life begin with conversations exactly like these. The lunch break eventually comes to an end. People stand up. They gather their things. The restaurant slowly empties. Everyone starts heading back to work. The relaxed atmosphere begins to fade. But the afternoon has its own challenges. Because when you return to the office, something unexpected is waiting. A project isn't going as planned. A problem needs to be solved. People are looking for answers. And in the next part, you'll learn how native speakers handle challenges, discuss problems calmly, suggest solutions, and sound confident even when things don't go perfectly. Because advanced English isn't only about talking when things are easy, it's also about communicating clearly when things become difficult. The lunch break is over. The conversations slowly fade away as everyone returns to the office. The energy feels different now. A little quieter. A little more focused. The sound of keyboards fills the room. Someone is typing quickly. A phone rings in the distance. A printer hums softly nearby. You sit down at your desk. Take a sip of water. And open your laptop. For a moment, everything seems normal. Then a message appears on your screen. Can you join us in Meeting Room B? Your stomach tightens slightly. That usually means something needs attention. You grab your notebook and head toward the meeting room. A few coworkers are already there. The atmosphere is calm. But you can tell something isn't quite right. The project everyone has been working on is facing a problem. Now this is an important situation. Because advanced English is not only about talking when things are easy, it's also about communicating clearly when challenges appear. Let's begin with one of the most useful words in professional English. Problem. Most learners know this word, but native speakers often soften it. Instead of saying, "We have a problem," they might say, "We've run into an issue." Listen carefully. We've run into an issue. Repeat after me. We've run into an issue. Again. We've run into an issue. Excellent. This phrase sounds natural, professional, and calm. Let's compare. Basic. We have a problem. Natural. We've got an issue. Advanced. We've run into an issue. Repeat one more time. We've run into an issue. Very good. Now imagine your manager begins speaking. We've run into an issue with the project timeline. Let's focus on the phrase timeline. Repeat. Timeline. Again. Timeline. This word appears constantly in workplace conversations. Project timeline. Timeline update. Timeline delay. Now repeat the full sentence. We've run into an issue with the project timeline. Excellent. A coworker raises a concern. It looks like we're falling behind. This is another phrase native speakers use frequently. We're falling behind. Repeat. We're falling behind. Again. We're falling behind. Notice how natural this sounds. Not. We are late. But. We're falling behind. Let's build it. We're falling behind schedule. Repeat. We're falling behind schedule. Again. We're falling behind schedule. Excellent. Now imagine the conversation continues. Manager. We're falling behind schedule. Coworker. How serious is it? but manageable. Again. It's challenging, but manageable. Excellent. This pattern is common among advanced speakers. They don't focus only on the negative. They balance it. Challenge plus possibility. Problem plus solution. Difficulty plus optimism. Let's continue. Someone asks, "What do you think we should do?" This is where many English learners become nervous. Giving opinions can feel intimidating. But native speakers often use soft, collaborative language. Instead of saying, "We should do this," they might say, "I think we should." Listen. I think we should focus on the highest priorities first. Repeat. Focus on the highest priorities first. Again. Focus on the highest priorities first. Excellent. Now let's make it more natural. I think we should focus on the highest priorities first and tackle the biggest problems one at a time. Listen carefully. Tackle the biggest problems. Repeat. Tackle the biggest problems. Again. Tackle the biggest problems. Native speakers often use the verb tackle when dealing with challenges. Tackle a problem. Tackle an issue. Tackle a challenge. Let's practice. Let's tackle it. Let's tackle the problem. Let's tackle this first. Excellent. Now listen to a short meeting conversation. Manager. Any suggestions? You. I think we should focus on the highest priorities first. Coworker. That makes sense. You. Then we can tackle the remaining issues one at a time. Coworker. I agree. Let's stop there. This next phrase is extremely common. That makes sense. Repeat. That makes sense. Again. That makes sense. Native speakers use this constantly. It's one of the easiest ways to sound natural. Examples. That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Actually. That makes a lot of sense. Repeat them after me. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Excellent. Now imagine another coworker has a different idea. This is where advanced communication becomes important. How do you disagree politely? Many learners say, "No." Too direct. Too abrupt? Native speakers often soften disagreement. Listen. I see your point. End prince. Repeat. I see your point. But. Again. I see your point. But. This phrase is incredibly useful. It shows respect before presenting another perspective. Let's practice. I see your point. But I think there's another option. Repeat. I see your point. But I think there's another option. Excellent. Now another useful phrase. That's a good point. Repeat. That's a good point. Again. That's a good point. Native speakers use this constantly during discussions. Let's build a conversation. Coworker. Maybe we should delay the launch. You. That's a good point. Coworker. What do you think? You. I see your point. But I think we can solve the issue without delaying everything. Listen again. Solve the issue without delaying everything. Repeat. Solve the issue. Again. Solve the issue. Very nice. Notice how natural professional conversations are often built from simple pieces. That's a good point. I see your point. That makes sense? I think we should. Nothing complicated. Just practical communication. Now let's shift the energy slightly. The meeting continues. People begin sharing ideas. The atmosphere becomes more productive. Less focused on problems. More focused on solutions. This is an important shift. And native speakers often use a phrase like this. Let's focus on what we can control. Listen. What we can control. Repeat. What we can control. Again. What we can control. This phrase appears everywhere. At work. In sports. In life. Let's focus on what we can control. Repeat. Let's focus on what we can control. Excellent. Now imagine the manager smiles and says, I appreciate everyone's effort. Let's stop here. Appreciate is an important word. Repeat. I appreciate it. Again. I appreciate it. More natural than simply saying, thank you. Let's practice. I appreciate your help. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your effort. Excellent. Now listen to this exchange. Manager. I appreciate everyone's effort. Coworker. We're doing our best. Manager. I know. Coworker. We'll figure it out. Let's focus on that phrase. We'll figure it out. Repeat. We'll figure it out. Again. We'll figure it out. Native speakers love this phrase. It communicates confidence without sounding arrogant. When things are uncertain. When solutions aren't obvious. When challenges appear, people often say, we'll figure it out. Let's practice. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. Repeat. We'll figure it out. Excellent. Now imagine you're speaking with a coworker after the meeting. The tension has decreased. People seem more relaxed. Your coworker says, that meeting went better than I expected. This phrase is extremely common. Better than I expected. Repeat. Better than I expected. Again. Better than I expected. Now let's build it. Honestly. That went better than I expected. Repeat. Honestly. That went better than I expected. Excellent. This type of phrase helps express relief. And relief is something native speakers express often. Let's learn another phrase. That's a relief. Repeat. That's a relief. Again. That's a relief. Imagine hearing good news after worrying all day. That's a relief. Imagine finishing a difficult project. That's a relief. Imagine solving a major issue. That's a relief. Excellent. Now let's do a short shadowing exercise. Repeat naturally. We've run into an issue. We're falling behind schedule. That makes sense. That's a good point. I see your point. But let's focus on what we can control. We'll figure it out. That's a relief. Excellent. Notice something. These aren't just workplace phrases. These are life phrases. You can use them in dozens of situations. That's why they sound natural. That's why native speakers use them so frequently. And something important is happening. A few hours ago, we were learning English. Now we're solving problems in English. That's progress. Real progress. Every phrase you repeat is helping your brain become more comfortable, more automatic, more confident. The afternoon slowly moves forward. The project is back on track. The biggest concerns have been addressed. The atmosphere in the office feels lighter now. People are smiling again. The pressure has eased. Outside the windows, the sunlight begins to soften. The workday is slowly coming to an end. But the most interesting conversation of the day hasn't happened yet. Because after work, you'll unexpectedly run into someone from your past. Someone you haven't spoken to in years. And that conversation will open the door to a completely different kind of English. The kind that tells stories, shares memories, expresses emotions, and helps you sound truly natural. Let's head there next. The workday is finally coming to an end. The office feels quieter now. A few people are packing up their bags. Someone says goodbye near the elevator. The pressure of deadlines is fading. The sunlight outside has become softer, warmer, more relaxed. You shut down your computer and head toward the train station. For the first time all day. There is no rush. No meeting to attend. No email waiting for a reply. Just the quiet feeling that the day is winding down. As you walk through a small park on your way home, something catches your attention. A familiar face. At first, you're not sure. You look again. Wait, could it really be them? The person turns around. And suddenly, both of you smile. It's someone you haven't seen in years. An old friend. Now we're entering a different kind of English. Not workplace English. Not problem-solving English. This is storytelling English. Memory English. Connection English. The kind of English that helps conversations feel deeper and more human. Your friend laughs and says, "Wow. I can't believe it's you." Listen carefully. I can't believe it's you. Repeat after me. I can't believe it's you. Again. I can't believe it's you. This phrase is extremely common when meeting someone unexpectedly. Now let's answer naturally. It's been forever. Repeat. It's been forever. Again. It's been forever. Native speakers use this phrase all the time. Not because they literally mean forever, but because it has been a long time. Let's compare. Basic. Long time no see. Natural. It's been a while. Advanced. Wow. It's been forever. Repeat again. It's been forever. Excellent. Your friend smiles. How have you been? This is one of the most common questions in English. But many learners give very short answers. Fine. Good. Okay. Instead, let's make it more natural. I've been doing pretty well. Repeat. I've been doing pretty well. Again. I've been doing pretty well. Now let's expand it. I've been doing pretty well. Life's been keeping me busy. Listen carefully. Life's been keeping me busy. Repeat. Life's been keeping me busy. Again. Life's been keeping me busy. This sounds very natural. Very conversational. Very real. Now imagine your friend responds. Yeah. Same here. Let's stop there. Same here. Repeat. Same here. Again. Same here. Native speakers use this constantly. It's short, simple, and useful. I was tired. Same here. I've been busy. Same here. I needed a vacation. Same here. Excellent. The conversation continues naturally. You begin walking through the park together. The evening air feels comfortable. People are walking their dogs. Children are playing nearby. The atmosphere is calm. Your friend asks, "So, what have you been up to lately?" This is another extremely common question. What have you been up to? Repeat. What have you been up to? Again. What have you been up to? Native speakers rarely ask only, "What are you doing?" Instead, they often ask, "What have you been up to?" Now let's answer naturally. I've mostly been working and trying to stay busy. Repeat. I've mostly been working and trying to stay busy. Again. I've mostly been working and trying to stay busy. Very good. Now let's make it richer. I've mostly been working, but I've also been trying to spend more time with family and friends. Listen. Spend more time with family and friends. Repeat. Spend more time with family and friends. Again. Spend more time with family and friends. Excellent. Notice how we're adding details. This is what advanced speakers do naturally. They don't stop after one sentence. They build on it. Little by little. Now your friend says something interesting. Do you remember that road trip we took years ago? Immediately. Memories come back. And now we enter one of the most important storytelling skills in English. Talking about the past. Many learners tell stories like this. We went there. We ate food. We came home. Correct. But not very engaging. Let's make it more natural. Listen. I still remember that trip. Repeat. I still remember that trip. Again. I still remember that trip. Now let's expand it. I still remember that trip. We had so much fun. Repeat. We had so much fun. Again. We had so much fun. Now let's build a story. I still remember that trip. We had so much fun. And honestly, I don't think I've laughed that much since then. Listen carefully. I don't think I've laughed that much since then. Repeat. Since then. Again. Since then. Excellent. Notice how one memory leads naturally into another. That's how storytelling works. Now listen to a short conversation. Friend. Do you remember that road trip? You. Of course. Friend. That was years ago. You. I know. I still remember it. Friend. That was such a good weekend. You. Honestly, I don't think I've laughed that much since then. Listen again. Such a good weekend. Repeat. Such a good weekend. Again. Such a good weekend. This next pattern is incredibly useful. Such a great day. Such a nice surprise. Such a beautiful place. Such a memorable experience. Repeat them after me. Such a great day. Such a nice surprise. Such a memorable experience. Excellent. Now let's move deeper into emotional storytelling. Your friend suddenly says, You know, I miss those days sometimes. This is a very natural thing people say. I miss those days. Repeat. I miss those days. Again. I miss those days. Now let's answer naturally. Yeah. Things felt a little simpler back then. Listen carefully. Back then. Repeat. Back then. Again. Back then. Native speakers use this phrase constantly when talking about the past. Back then. Let's practice. Things were different back then. Life felt simpler back then. We didn't worry about that stuff back then. Excellent. Now imagine both of you laugh. Because some things have changed. But some things haven't. Your friend points toward a nearby bench. You sit down. The conversation becomes quieter. More thoughtful. And this is where English becomes something more than vocabulary. It becomes connection. Your friend asks, What's the biggest thing you've learned over the last few years? That's a deeper question. And many learners panic when questions become deeper. But don't worry. Let's build a natural response. I've learned not to take things for granted. Listen. Take things for granted. Repeat. Take things for granted. Again. Take things for granted. This is a powerful phrase. Native speakers use it often. It means failing to appreciate something. Let's practice. I try not to take my family for granted. I don't take my health for granted. I don't take opportunities for granted. Excellent. Now, let's expand the answer. I've learned not to take things for granted and to appreciate the people around me. Repeat. Appreciate the people around me. Again. Appreciate the people around me. Very good. This is the kind of English that sounds mature, personal, meaningful. Not because the grammar is difficult, but because the thought is real. Now, let's do a speaking activation exercise. Think about your own life. What's one thing you've learned in the last few years? Take a moment. Try answering in English. It doesn't need to be perfect. Maybe. I've learned to be more patient. I've learned to appreciate small moments. I've learned not to worry so much. Say it quietly. Say it naturally. Excellent. Every time you connect English to your real experiences, your fluency grows. Not just your vocabulary. Your fluency. Because fluency isn't only about words. It's about expressing yourself. Now the sky is becoming darker. Streetlights begin turning on. People continue walking through the park. The evening feels peaceful. Your friend checks the time and smiles. Wow! We've been talking for almost an hour. Let's practice that. We've been talking for almost an hour. Repeat. We've been talking for almost an hour. Again. We've been talking for almost an hour. Time passes quickly when conversations feel natural. And that's exactly what has happened. The conversation never felt forced. It moved naturally. From work, to memories, to stories, to lessons, to life. And that's exactly how native conversations often unfold. Before leaving, your friend says, "We shouldn't wait so long next time." Listen. We shouldn't wait so long next time. Repeat. We shouldn't wait so long next time. Again. We shouldn't wait so long next time. You smile. Definitely not. Repeat. Definitely not. Again. Definitely not. Then you add. Let's stay in touch. Repeat. Let's stay in touch. Again. Let's stay in touch. A simple phrase. But a meaningful one. You both head in different directions. The conversation ends. But something stays with you. The memories. The stories. The feeling of reconnecting with someone important. And as you continue walking home, another kind of conversation begins. A more personal one. A quieter one. The kind that happens over dinner. Where people talk about feelings, dreams, challenges, and the things that matter most. And that's exactly where we're heading next. Because expressing emotions naturally is one of the biggest steps between intermediate English and truly advanced English. The evening air feels cooler now. The conversation with your old friend is over. But the feeling stays with you. Some meetings leave an impression long after they end. Not because of what was said, but because of how they made you feel. You continue walking home. The streets are quieter than they were this morning. The rush of the day has faded. Store lights glow softly through windows. A few people sit outside restaurants enjoying dinner. The city feels calmer. Slower. You arrive home. Put your keys down. And finally exhale. The day has been full. Coffee shops. Work. Unexpected problems. Old memories. And now, for the first time all day, you have space to think. A message appears on your phone. It's from your sister. Want to grab dinner? You smile. A little while later, you're sitting together at a small restaurant. The atmosphere is warm. Soft music plays in the background. People talk quietly around you. And, before long, the conversation moves beyond schedules and daily routines. It moves into something deeper. Feelings. Experiences. The things people don't always talk about during busy days. And this is where many English learners struggle. Not because the grammar is difficult, but because emotions are often harder to express than facts. Let's start with something simple. Imagine, your sister asks, "So, how are you really doing?" Notice the word really. This question is different. She's not asking about your schedule. She's asking about you. Many learners answer, "I'm good." Perfectly correct. But native speakers often express a little more. Listen, I've been doing pretty well lately. Repeat after me. I've been doing pretty well lately. Again. I've been doing pretty well lately. Excellent. Now let's make it more natural. I've been doing pretty well lately. Actually. Repeat. Actually. Again. Actually. This small word appears constantly in natural conversation. Now, let's go one step deeper. I've been doing pretty well lately. But it's been a busy few months. Listen carefully. It's been a busy few months. Repeat. It's been a busy few months. Again. It's been a busy few months. Very natural. Very real. Most people can relate to that. Now imagine your sister smiles and says, "Yeah, I know what you mean." Let's stop there. I know what you mean. Repeat. I know what you mean. Again. I know what you mean. This phrase creates connection. It shows empathy. Native speakers use it constantly. Let's practice. I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Excellent. Now the conversation becomes more personal. Your sister asks, "Have you been happy lately?" That's an interesting question. And many learners only know one answer. Happy. But native speakers use many emotional words. Let's explore them. Basic. Happy. Natural. Pretty happy. Advanced. Content. Listen. Content. Repeat. Content. Again. Content. Content doesn't mean excited. It means peaceful. Satisfied. Comfortable with where you are. Now repeat. I've been feeling pretty content lately. Again. I've been feeling pretty content lately. Excellent. This is the kind of vocabulary native speakers use when talking about emotions. Let's continue. Maybe some days you're not happy. Maybe you're grateful. Listen. Grateful. Repeat. Grateful. Again. Grateful. Now, let's build a sentence. I've been feeling really grateful lately. Repeat. I've been feeling really grateful lately. Again. I've been feeling really grateful lately. Native speakers use grateful all the time, especially when reflecting on life. Let's practice. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had. Excellent. Notice how these phrases feel personal, meaningful, natural. Now imagine your sister asks, "What's made you feel grateful recently?" This is where conversations become interesting. Many learners panic because there isn't one correct answer. But that's exactly why it's useful. Let's answer naturally. Honestly, I've been appreciating the little things more. Listen carefully. The little things. Repeat. The little things. Again. The little things. Native speakers love this expression. The little things. A good conversation. A quiet evening. A cup of coffee. A message from a friend. Small moments. Now repeat. I've been appreciating the little things more. Excellent. Let's continue. Your sister nods. Then says, "I think that's important." You smile and reply, yeah, I think so too. Repeat, I think so too. Again, I think so too. Simple, natural, useful. Now let's move into another emotion, stress. Everyone experiences it, but native speakers often describe it in different ways. Many learners say, I'm stressed. Correct. But let's upgrade it. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Listen. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Repeat. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Again. I've had a lot on my mind lately. This phrase is incredibly common. It means you're thinking about many things. Responsibilities, decisions, concerns, plans. Let's practice. I've had a lot on my mind. Repeat. I've had a lot on my mind. Excellent. Now let's expand it. I've had a lot on my mind lately. But I'm trying not to worry too much. Repeat. I'm trying not to worry too much. Again. I'm trying not to worry too much. Very natural. Very human. Notice how native speakers often balance emotions. They acknowledge the challenge. Then they describe how they're handling it. This creates emotional maturity in conversation. Now let's listen to a short dialogue. Sister. You seem thoughtful tonight. You. Yeah. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Sister. Everything okay? You. Yeah. Mostly. I'm just thinking about a few things. Sister. I get that. You. I'm trying not to worry too much. Listen again. I'm trying not to worry too much. Repeat. Excellent. Now let's talk about another very common emotion. Relief. Imagine a difficult situation finally ends. A stressful week. A project. An exam. A challenge. Native speakers often say, that's a weight off my shoulders. Listen carefully. A weight off my shoulders. Repeat. That's a weight off my shoulders. Again. That's a weight off my shoulders. This phrase creates a vivid image. Something heavy is gone. You feel lighter. Let's practice. Finishing that project was a weight off my shoulders. Getting that call was a weight off my shoulders. Solving that problem was a weight off my shoulders. Excellent. Now imagine your sister laughs. Then asks, so, what are you excited about these days? This is another great conversation question. And native speakers often answer with enthusiasm. Listen. I'm really looking forward to what's next. Repeat. Looking forward to what's next. Again. Looking forward to what's next. Very natural. Very optimistic. Let's expand it. I'm really looking forward to what's next. Even though I'm not exactly sure what that looks like yet. Listen. I'm not exactly sure. Repeat. I'm not exactly sure. Again. I'm not exactly sure. Notice how natural uncertainty sounds. Native speakers don't always sound completely confident. Sometimes, they say, I'm not sure. I don't know yet. We'll see. Let's practice. We'll see. Repeat. We'll see. Again. We'll see. This tiny phrase appears everywhere. What happens next? We'll see. Will it work? We'll see. Are you going? We'll see. Excellent. Now let's do a speaking activation exercise. Think about your own life for a moment. What are you looking forward to? Maybe a trip. Maybe a goal. Maybe a new opportunity. Maybe something simple. Try answering quietly. I'm looking forward to. Complete the sentence. Take your time. Make it personal. Excellent. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. Connect English to your own emotions. Because when language becomes personal, it becomes memorable. Now the meal is almost finished. The restaurant feels quieter. Some tables are empty now. The evening has become darker outside. Your sister smiles and says, "You seem happier than you were a year ago." You think about that for a moment. Then you reply, "Yeah, I think I've grown a lot." Listen carefully. I've grown a lot. Repeat. I've grown a lot. Again. I've grown a lot. This doesn't mean physically. It means emotionally, personally, mentally. Native speakers use this expression often when reflecting on life. I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot. Excellent. Now let's build one final emotional sentence. I've grown a lot. And I'm still learning every day. Repeat. I'm still learning every day. Again. I'm still learning every day. That's a beautiful thought. Not only for life, but for English too. You don't need perfection. You don't need instant fluency. You just need progress. Little by little. Conversation by conversation. Day by day. The dinner eventually comes to an end. You step outside together. The night air feels calm. Comfortable. The city lights stretch across the streets. The day is almost over. But before it ends, there's still one more conversation waiting. A conversation about dreams, plans, possibilities, the future. And in the next part, you'll learn how native speakers talk about goals, hopes, ambitions, and the future in a way that feels natural, confident, and deeply personal. Because fluency isn't only about talking about yesterday. It's also about talking about tomorrow. The night is calm. The dinner conversation stays in your mind as you walk home. Some conversations leave you feeling lighter, more thoughtful, more connected. The streets are quieter now than they were this morning. Most of the shops are beginning to close. The air feels cooler, comfortable. You take your time walking. There is no rush anymore. The day is almost over. Yet something interesting happens when the world becomes quieter. Your thoughts become louder. You start thinking about tomorrow, next month, next year, the future. And this is where many native speakers naturally shift their conversations. After talking about the past and the present, they begin talking about possibilities, plans, goals, dreams, things they hope to do someday. Tonight, we're going to practice exactly that. Because talking about the future is one of the most useful skills in English. Not only because it helps you communicate, but because it helps you express who you want to become. Imagine you're sitting by the window at home. A cup of tea is on the table, and your phone is silent. The room is peaceful, and a simple question appears in your mind. Where do I want to be a year from now? Let's start with a very common phrase. I'd like to. Listen carefully. I'd like to. Repeat after me. I'd like to. Again. I'd like to. Native speakers use this constantly when talking about goals. I'd like to travel more. I'd like to improve my English. I'd like to spend more time with my family. Let's practice. I'd like to learn something new. Repeat. I'd like to learn something new. Again. I'd like to learn something new. Excellent. Now let's make it richer. I'd like to learn something new and challenge myself more often. Listen carefully. Challenge myself. Repeat. Challenge myself. Again. Challenge myself. This phrase appears frequently when people talk about personal growth. I want to challenge myself. I'm trying to challenge myself. I've been challenging myself lately. Excellent. Now imagine you're talking to a friend. They ask, "What are some of your goals right now?" Many learners answer with short sentences. I want a new job. I want to travel. I want to learn English. Perfectly correct. But let's make it more natural. I'd really like to improve my English so I can communicate more confidently. Repeat. Communicate more confidently. Again. Communicate more confidently. Excellent. Notice how we added a reason. Advanced speakers often explain why, not just what. Let's compare. Basic. I want to travel. Natural. I'd like to travel more. Advanced. I'd like to travel more because I enjoy experiencing new cultures. Listen carefully. Experiencing new cultures. Repeat. Experiencing new cultures. Again. Experiencing new cultures. Very natural. Very common. Now let's continue. Imagine your friend responds. That's a great goal. Let's pause. Goal. Repeat. Goal. Again. Goal. Now let's learn another useful phrase. Working toward. Listen. Working toward. Repeat. Working toward. Again. Working toward. Native speakers often say, I'm working toward a goal. I'm working toward something. We're working toward a solution. Let's build a sentence. I'm working toward becoming more confident. Repeat. I'm working toward becoming more confident. Again. I'm working toward becoming more confident. Excellent. This sounds much more natural than simply saying, I want confidence. Now let's imagine another conversation. Friend. What are you working toward these days? You. Honestly. I'm working toward becoming the best version of myself. Listen carefully. The best version of myself. Repeat. The best version of myself. Again. The best version of myself. This phrase is very common in self-development conversations. People use it often when discussing growth. Let's continue. Friend. That's a great way to look at it. You. I think so. I'm trying to improve a little every day. Repeat. A little every day. Again. A little every day. Notice how natural that sounds. Not dramatic. Not unrealistic. Just steady progress. And that's how most native speakers talk about goals. Now let's move into another useful future phrase. I hope to. Listen. I hope to. Repeat. I hope to. Again. I hope to. Examples. I hope to travel more. I hope to start a business someday. I hope to become fluent in English. Let's practice. I hope to become more confident speaking English. Repeat. I hope to become more confident speaking English. Again. I hope to become more confident speaking English. Excellent. Now let's expand it. I hope to become more confident speaking English, so conversations feel more natural. Listen. So conversations feel more natural. Repeat. So conversations feel more natural. Again. So conversations feel more natural. Very good. Now, let's shift slightly. Not every future conversation is about certainty. Sometimes it's about possibilities. And native speakers use words like maybe, might, could. Let's begin with might. Listen. I might. Repeat. I might. Again. I might. Examples. I might travel next year. I might change jobs. I might take a course. Let's practice. I might take an English class. Repeat. I might take an English class. Again. I might take an English class. Excellent. Now let's use could. I could. Repeat. I could. Again. I could. Examples. I could move somewhere new. I could start a new project. I could learn a new skill. Let's practice. I could learn something completely different. Repeat. I could learn something completely different. Excellent. Notice how these words create flexibility. Life is uncertain. And native speakers often speak that way. Not everything is fixed. Not everything is guaranteed. Sometimes they simply say, "We'll see." Let's practice it again. We'll see. Repeat. We'll see. Again. We'll see. Very natural. Very common. Now imagine you're having a deeper conversation. Someone asks, "Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?" This question appears often in interviews, conversations, and personal discussions. Many learners feel nervous when answering it. Let's build a natural response together. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Listen carefully. I'm not entirely sure. Repeat. I'm not entirely sure. Again. I'm not entirely sure. Notice how natural this sounds. You don't need a perfect answer. You don't need certainty. Native speakers often begin with honesty. I'm not entirely sure. But. And then they continue. Let's build it. I'm not entirely sure. But I hope I'll be doing something meaningful. Listen. Something meaningful. Repeat. Something meaningful. Again. Something meaningful. This word is beautiful because it focuses on purpose. Meaningful work. Meaningful relationships. Meaningful experiences. Let's practice. I hope I'll be doing something meaningful. Excellent. Now let's do a short dialogue. Friend. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Friend. Fair enough. You. But I hope I'll be doing something meaningful. Friend. That sounds like a good goal. You? I think so too. Listen again. That sounds like a good goal. Repeat. That sounds like a good goal. Excellent. Now let's do a speaking activation exercise. Think about your future. Not 10 years from now. Just 1 year. What would you like to improve? What would you like to learn? What would you like to experience? Answer quietly in your mind. Try using one of these phrases. I'd like to. I hope to. I'm working toward. I might. I could. Take your time. There's no right answer. Only your answer. Excellent. This is where English becomes powerful. Because you're no longer repeating random examples. You're expressing your own future. Your own hopes. Your own goals. Your own life. And that's what real communication is. Now the room around you grows even quieter. The evening is becoming night. You glance out the window. Most of the lights in nearby buildings have gone dark. The day is nearly over. Yet before going to sleep, people often do one final thing. They reflect. They think about what happened. What went well? What didn't? What they learned? What they want to remember? And in the next part, we'll explore exactly that. You'll learn how native speakers reflect on their day. Describe personal experiences. Express appreciation. And talk about lessons they've learned. Because sometimes the most meaningful conversations happen when no one else is around. Just you and your thoughts. And that's where we're heading next. The night has settled in completely now. The city outside is quieter than it has been all day. The traffic has thinned. Most windows in nearby buildings are dark. The world seems to be slowing down. You sit comfortably at home. Maybe you're in your favorite chair. Maybe you're sitting by a window. Maybe you're already in bed. The day is almost over. And when the noise of the day fades away, something interesting happens. Your mind starts replaying moments, conversations, experiences, small victories, unexpected challenges, the things that made you smile, the things that made you think. This is a very natural part of life. And it's also a very useful English skill. Because native speakers often spend time reflecting, not just talking about what happened, but talking about what it meant. Tonight, we're going to practice exactly that. Reflecting on your day, expressing appreciation, recognizing growth, and describing your thoughts naturally. Imagine you look back on your day and ask yourself a simple question. How did today go? Many learners answer with one word. Good. Fine. Okay. Perfectly correct. But native speakers often say a little more. Listen carefully. Today was pretty good overall. Repeat after me. Today was pretty good overall. Again. Today was pretty good overall. Excellent. The word overall is extremely useful. Overall. Repeat. Overall. Again. Overall. Native speakers use it constantly when summarizing something. Overall. It was a good experience. Overall. Things went well. Overall. I'm happy with the result. Let's practice. Overall. Today was a good day. Repeat. Overall. Today was a good day. Excellent. Now let's make it more natural. Overall. Today was a good day. Even though it was busy. Listen carefully. Even though. Repeat. Even though. Again. Even though. This phrase helps create balance. Positive and negative together. Let's practice. Even though I was tired. Even though it was stressful. Even though things didn't go perfectly. Excellent. Native speakers often reflect this way. Life isn't perfect. But it can still be good. Now, imagine you're thinking about something positive that happened today. Maybe a conversation. Maybe a success. Maybe a small moment. Let's learn a useful phrase. One thing I'm grateful for is. Listen. One thing I'm grateful for is. Repeat. One thing I'm grateful for is. Again. One thing I'm grateful for is. Excellent. This is a beautiful reflection phrase. Let's build it. One thing I'm grateful for is the chance to spend time with people I care about. Repeat. People I care about. Again. People I care about. Very natural. Very meaningful. Now let's continue. Imagine you remember meeting your old friend earlier. The unexpected conversation. The shared memories. The laughter. You smile and think. I'm really glad we ran into each other. Listen carefully. Ran into each other. Repeat. Ran into each other. Again. Ran into each other. This is a very common phrase. It means meeting unexpectedly. Let's practice. I ran into an old friend. We ran into each other at the park. I wasn't expecting to run into them. Excellent. Now, let's build a reflection sentence. I'm really glad we ran into each other. Repeat. I'm really glad we ran into each other. Again. I'm really glad we ran into each other. Notice how natural this sounds. It's not formal. It's not complicated. It's simply real. Now let's move deeper. Native speakers often reflect on lessons, things they've learned. Let's practice one of the most useful patterns. I realized that. Listen. I realized that. Repeat. I realized that. Again. I realized that. This phrase appears constantly in personal conversations. I realized that I need more balance. I realized that I've been working too much. I realized that I miss spending time with friends. Let's practice. I realized that some things are more important than I thought. Repeat. I realized that some things are more important than I thought. Excellent. Now let's expand it. I realized that some things are more important than I thought. Especially relationships. Listen carefully. Especially. Repeat. Especially. Again. Especially. Excellent. This word helps add emphasis. Let's practice. Especially lately. Especially today. Especially after that conversation. Very good. Now imagine you're writing in a journal. Or simply thinking quietly before bed. You ask yourself, what surprised me today? This is a powerful reflection question. Let's build a natural answer. Honestly. What surprised me most was. Repeat. What surprised me most was. Again. What surprised me most was. Excellent. Let's continue. Honestly. What surprised me most was how much I enjoyed reconnecting with an old friend. Repeat. Reconnecting. Again. Reconnecting. Native speakers often use this word when relationships are renewed. Reconnecting with family. Reconnecting with friends. Reconnecting with people from the past. Excellent. Now let's listen to a short reflection. Today was pretty good overall. One thing I'm grateful for is the chance to reconnect with an old friend. What surprised me most was how easy the conversation felt. I realized that I've missed those kinds of conversations. Listen again. I've missed those kinds of conversations. Repeat. I've missed those kinds of conversations. Excellent. Notice how natural this sounds. You're not describing events anymore. You're describing meaning. That's an important shift. Now let's talk about growth. Native speakers often reflect on personal growth at the end of a day, a week, or a year. Let's learn a useful phrase. I'm making progress. Listen. I'm making progress. Repeat. I'm making progress. Again. I'm making progress. This phrase is incredibly important, especially for language learners. Let's build it. I'm making progress. Even if it's slower than I'd like. Repeat. Even if it's slower than I'd like. Again. Even if it's slower than I'd like. Excellent. This sounds honest. Balanced. Realistic. Now let's continue. Many learners focus on perfection. Native speakers often focus on progress. Let's practice. I'm getting better. I'm improving. I'm making progress. Repeat them after me. I'm getting better. I'm improving. I'm making progress. Excellent. And here's something important. Every small sentence you repeat is training your brain to think in English. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Right now. Every phrase you understand without translating is progress. Every natural response you remember is progress. Every moment you stay curious is progress. Never underestimate small improvements. Small improvements become big changes. Now imagine you're reflecting on something challenging from your day. Maybe the stressful project. Maybe the busy morning. Maybe something unexpected. Let's practice a useful phrase. It wasn't easy. But. Listen. It wasn't easy. But. Repeat. It wasn't easy. But. Again. It wasn't easy. But let's build it. It wasn't easy. But I learned a lot. Repeat. I learned a lot. Again. I learned a lot. Excellent. This pattern appears everywhere. It wasn't easy. But it was worth it. It wasn't easy. But I grew from it. It wasn't easy. But I'm glad I did it. Very natural. Now let's do a short speaking activation exercise. Think about your own day. What was one good thing that happened? What was one thing you learned? What was one thing you're grateful for? Answer quietly in your mind. Try using these patterns. One thing I'm grateful for is, I realized that. What surprised me most was, I'm making progress because. Take your time. This is your English. Your thoughts. Your experiences. Excellent. Now the room feels even quieter. The clock moves slowly. The day is almost finished. You feel calmer than you did this morning. And perhaps something else has changed too. Maybe you feel a little more confident. A little more comfortable. A little more connected to the language. Not because you memorized hundreds of words, but because you've used English to talk about real life. Real people. Real emotions. Real experiences. That's what fluency is. Before the day ends. There's one final reflection. You look back at everything that happened. The coffee shop. The busy commute. The conversations at work. The lunch break. The challenges. The old friend. The dinner. The dreams for the future. And you think, today was a good reminder. Listen carefully. A good reminder. Repeat. A good reminder. Again. A good reminder. Let's build one final sentence. Today was a good reminder that meaningful conversations matter. Repeat. Meaningful conversations matter. Again. Meaningful conversations matter. Excellent. The lights are dim now. The day is complete. But before you drift off to sleep, there's one final step. One final conversation. A chance to bring everything together. Everything you've learned. Everything you've practiced. Everything you've experienced. And in the final part, we'll do exactly that. We'll review the journey from beginning to end. Strengthen the most useful expressions. Reinforce your confidence. And help you leave this lesson feeling not like someone who studies English, but like someone who uses it naturally every day. The day is coming to a close. The room is quiet. The world outside has slowed down. Most of the lights in the city have faded into the distance. The conversations are over. The meetings are finished. The messages can wait until tomorrow. For now, there is only this moment. A moment to pause. A moment to breathe. And a moment to reflect on everything you've experienced today. If you've been listening from the beginning, think about how far you've already traveled. Not physically, but through language. This morning began with a simple cup of coffee. A simple greeting. A simple conversation. And from there, one moment led naturally to another. You practiced introducing yourself naturally. You learned how native speakers keep conversations moving. You learned how to respond instead of simply answering. You learned how to connect. And that's important. Because real fluency isn't built through isolated vocabulary lists. It's built through connection. Connection between words. Connection between ideas. Connection between people. Let's take a moment to revisit some of the most useful phrases you've learned today. Listen carefully. It's been a while. Repeat after me. It's been a while. Again. It's been a while. Excellent. Now another one. I'm running late. Repeat. I'm running late. Again. I'm running late. Very good. Another one. I've got a lot on my plate. Repeat. I've got a lot on my plate. Again. I've got a lot on my plate. Excellent. These aren't textbook phrases. These are real-life phrases. The kind you'll hear tomorrow. The kind you'll hear next week. The kind you'll hear for years. Now let's continue. I appreciate it. Repeat. I appreciate it. Again. I appreciate it. Excellent. How about this one? We'll figure it out. Repeat. We'll figure it out. Again. We'll figure it out. Very good. Now listen to another phrase. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Repeat. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Again. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Excellent. Notice how natural these expressions feel now. At the beginning of this lesson, some of them may have felt unfamiliar. Now they feel more comfortable, more familiar, more usable. And that's exactly how language grows. One repetition at a time. One conversation at a time. One small victory at a time. Let's take a deeper look at something important. Today wasn't really about vocabulary. It wasn't really about grammar either. Those things matter. Of course they do. But underneath everything we practiced today was something much more valuable. Confidence. Not the confidence that comes from being perfect. The confidence that comes from being willing. Willing to speak. Willing to try. Willing to make mistakes. Willing to keep going. Because here's something many learners don't realize. Native speakers make mistakes too. People forget words. People hesitate. People restart sentences. People change their minds halfway through a thought. That's normal. Communication is not perfection. Communication is connection. Let's practice another useful phrase. I don't have all the answers. Repeat. I don't have all the answers. Again. I don't have all the answers. Now let's continue. But I'm learning. Repeat. But I'm learning. Again. But I'm learning. Excellent. Now put them together. I don't have all the answers. But I'm learning. Repeat. I don't have all the answers. But I'm learning. Very good. That sentence applies to English. It applies to work. It applies to life. Now let's think about the journey you've taken throughout this lesson. You greeted people. You handled a busy morning. You navigated workplace conversations. You joined coworkers for lunch. You solved problems. You reconnected with an old friend. You talked about emotions. You talked about dreams. You reflected on your experiences. And perhaps most importantly, you did it all in English. Not perfect English. Real English. Useful English. Practical English. The kind that helps you live your life. Let's do a final speaking activation exercise together. Imagine someone asks you a simple question. How was your day? Take a moment. Answer in your mind. Don't rush. Use some of the phrases you've learned today. Maybe you say, overall, it was a good day. Maybe you say, it was busy, but productive. Maybe you say, I learned a lot today. Maybe you say, I'm grateful for a few meaningful conversations. Whatever your answer is, say it quietly. Make it personal. Make it real. Excellent. Now imagine another question. What are you working toward right now? Again, take a moment. Think about your life, your goals, your dreams, your future. Try answering. Maybe you say, I'm working toward becoming more confident. Maybe you say, I'm working toward improving my English. Maybe you say, I'm working toward creating a better future for myself. Whatever your answer is, let it be yours. Because language becomes powerful when it carries your thoughts, not someone else's. Yours. And here's something worth remembering. Every sentence you repeated today has done something important. It has trained your brain to recognize natural English. It has strengthened your listening. It has strengthened your speaking. It has strengthened your confidence. Even if the progress feels small, it matters. Small improvements matter. A single phrase learned today can appear in tomorrow's conversation. A single pattern practiced today can become automatic next month. A single moment of confidence can change everything. That's how growth works. Not in giant leaps, but in consistent steps. Let's practice one final phrase together. Keep going. Repeat. Keep going. Again. Keep going. One more time. Keep going. Simple. Powerful. True. Because no matter where you are in your English journey, that's the advice that matters most. Keep going. Not because you're behind. Not because you're trying to catch up. But because you're already moving forward. Every time you listen, every time you repeat, every time you speak, you're moving forward. Now let's take a moment to celebrate something. You stayed with this lesson. You practiced. You listened. You participated. That matters. Many people want to improve. Fewer people actually show up and do the work. You did. And that's something to be proud of. Let's practice another useful phrase. I'm proud of myself. Repeat. I'm proud of myself. Again. I'm proud of myself. Some learners feel uncomfortable saying that. But sometimes, it's important. You don't need to be perfect to be proud of your progress. You only need to be progressing. And you are. Now, before we finish, I'd like you to do one final exercise. Think about your day. Think about your week. Think about your life right now. Then complete this sentence. One thing I'm grateful for is. Take a moment. Answer honestly. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's simply the chance to learn. Whatever comes to mind. Say it quietly. One thing I'm grateful for is. Excellent. That's a wonderful way to end the day. With appreciation. With awareness. With perspective. And with English that feels natural. Before we say goodbye, remember something. You do not need to speak like everyone else. You do not need a perfect accent. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need perfect vocabulary. You simply need the courage to keep communicating. One sentence at a time. One conversation at a time. One day at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me here on Relaxing English Listening. I hope today's lesson helped you feel more comfortable, more confident, and more connected to English. If there was a phrase you really liked today, try using it tomorrow. If there was a sentence that felt useful, repeat it again before you sleep. And if you'd like, leave a comment with one English sentence about your day. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Keep it real. And, if you'd like to continue building your English through real conversations, practical situations, and natural speaking practice, don't forget to subscribe and join us again. Until next time, take care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep speaking. Keep growing. And most importantly, keep going.